Live from Arnie Stone's kitchen in lovely Delray Beach, Florida. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Worldwide. What's going on, everybody? We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Chacho's Tacos, and Generation Records. What is going on? There you go. What's up, Long Brain? What do you say? What's up, Alan? Good to see everybody. Arnolfo, what's up, brother? What's going on, everybody? Feels like a long time since we've seen each other. Since I've been staring into the screen of infinity. On this voyage to infinity, you know? Yo, shout out, let's start out this Sunday. Shout out to the spirit of Todd Youth. That's right. My old friend Todd Youth, man. I miss him. Was really talented musician, really a talented dude. Very sad, you know. We lost a lot of people in the last couple of years. Hope all is well. Yes, Stefan. I hope all is well too. What's good, Maddie? My man. Gome, what's up? Everybody. All right. Italy. All right. Ciao from Italy. Good. All right. Rest in peace, Todd. Absolutely. You know what I want to mention real quick? Got a great show today. We got a great show on hand today. Let's talk about, don't worry about today's show. Let's talk about some of the upcoming shows. This Wednesday, we got Al Barr on the show from the Dropkick Murphys and the Bruisers. Should be pretty cool. Al Barr. A week from today, Kate Reddy, Kate 108 from Project Kate. A week from Sunday is John Socks, my old friend from the FUs and later the Straw Dogs. And then Wednesday, June 2nd, Tristan DeGraves from Antidote NYHC and the Undead. I'm going to bring one of my bandmates on and torment the guy, you know? Shout out to Wednesday shows. Yeah. Listen, if you want more Wednesday shows, be a patron. We post stuff every Wednesday on Patreon. Shout out to everyone from Northeast England. Everyone. Every single motherfucker. In you know. All right, Norway. Let's get some shout. Oh, Tristan DeGraves. Listen, bro. I'm going to destroy you on this show, man. I'm friggin' destroy you, bro. Got news for you. You think being in a band is a nightmare with me? Come on my show. Yeah, don't give him any airtime, Diana. He's gonna get his. We are 178 patrons. Is that how many patrons I have? Is that right? Is it what? We are 178. Yep. Shout out to the shout outs. Good one, Lenny. Hey, listen. Rap-ons, you're going to need more airtime? Sure, buddy. No problem. Let me entertain you. You know what I'm doing tonight? Hold on. You know what I'm doing tonight? Friggin' snapperheads. Here's what I'm doing tonight. As soon as this show is over, as soon as I'm done with you clowns, I will be on the road, on my way to Melbourne, Florida, to see set it off. I'm gonna go see Madball tonight. They're playing down here in Florida. Yep, Madball, Melbourne. I'm going. So I should just end the show right now. Fuck you, clowns. I'm out of here. You know what? Enough of me talking about me. Let's hear from the Hardcore Shutterbug. What's up, bro?
What's up? How you doing? How's everybody doing? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, fun day, shout out day.
Hey, before I forget, shout out to Daisha. Happy birthday.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Daisha.
Like the sport jacket. I'm glad you dressed up for the show today.
I was told jacket today. I Guess you didn't get the memo.
Wow.
No. I unfortunately I have a family. I have a wake to go to.
Aw.
My Uncle Charlie passed away, who was
Aw.
very close to me and my family. And so, I dedicate my portion of the show to Uncle Charlie.
You know what? I'm going to dedicate half of my portion to Uncle Charlie and half of my portion to Todd Youth.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Condolences. Yes.
Thank you.
Was this your father's brother?
My mother's sister's husband.
But you guys were all very close.
Oh yeah. No, my family is, I have a gigantic Sicilian family and we're all super close. In fact, every year in August, we have the Messina family picnic and like 200 Messinas converge on this park.
I didn't realize you were Sicilian.
100%.
There's some real greaseball shit.
Listen, the tip, look at the map of Sicily. The tip of Sicily is called Messina.
Well, the Straits of Messina, right?
That's right. Although I'm actually from, half my family is from Polizzi Generosa and the other half is from Giosa Maria. But Messina is where everybody sails out of. So when you get to Ellis Island and you say Messina, they go, okay, you're Messina now.
Well, isn't that how in World War II they went across the Straits of Messina, and that's how they got into the soft white underbelly of Europe through the boot of Italy, right?
That is correct, sir.
Don't listen, bro. Don't fall. I know my hardcore. I know my World War II as well. You know what? I should just do a World War II show.
That would actually be pretty cool.
I'm sick of these hardcore. Sick of this hardcore shit, bro. Anyway, speaking of which, Sicilians rule.
There you go.
Right. Okay, well, here we go. Let's do photo of the day. Wrong answers only, please. Let's have some fun. It is Sunday shout out day. Here it is, photo of the day. Boom. All right, what do we got here? Let's see. Yep. Let's see. Come on. Let's go. Shout out to Jim Dooley. Is that Jim Dooley from the Bluegrass song? Jim Dooley, yeah. Is it Kiss? Is it George Thorogood and the Destroyers? That's a good one.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
I saw George Thorogood like a million years ago.
I did too.
Yo, he was great.
I saw him at the Garden with Brian Setzer opening up.
Oh wow! No, I saw him like before he. Is it Quicksand? Kind of close. Is it Tom Petty? Is it the Rolling Stones? Is it Fleetwood Mac? Is it Slayer? Is it Agnostic Front? Is it the Beach Boys? That's what I thought. Is it Duff Man? I thought that might have been Duff McKagan.
Yeah, well, the hair is definitely on point for sure.
You sent me another one, right?
Yep.
Here's the other one. Oh, I think this one's a little more telling, as we say. Photo number 2.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think that bass is kind of a giveaway, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I for sure, but there might be some young folks here that
let's see. Is it the Foo Fighters? Is it Boy George and the Culture Club? Oh, here's a good one. Is it Pussy Riot?
Did they ever get out of jail?
Yeah, they got out of jail.
But you never know in Russia.
Listen, in Russia, you just call your band Pussy Riot, you're going to end up in jail. Just for that alone, you know? Is it ZZ Top? Yeah, ZZ Top shaved their beards. Is it Boy George and the Culture Club?
Wow.
Is it Gary Mescal's old bass? It kind of is, isn't it?
Oh, you know what? Actually, now that you mention it, just one more thing the Crumb Suckers have in common with these guys.
Is it Atari Teenage Riot? All right.
Good call. That's a great first. I love that first album.
All right, here we go. Let's get some right answers here. Right answers only, please. Is it U.S. Bombs? Is it Bruce Springsteen? Is it Motorhead? Is it Alan Jackson? Okay, now we're hitting on it. Is it Paul and the Walruses?
Now we're getting somewhere.
Is it the Beatles?
I wish.
Is it Sir Paul McCartney?
You are correct, sir.
Is it two of the remaining Beatles?
No.
It's not two of them, right?
No, I only see one there.
Is it Phil Collins?
And it's not Billy Joel.
One thing's for sure. This show has definitely. I really couldn't stand Phil Collins and Billy Joel before the show. Now I loathe them.
Do you know I posted some Billy Joel pictures last week, and somebody commented, "I think I see Drew in the front row."
Oh, this is good, Michelle. Is that Todd Morris as a hired gun on guitar? That's good. That's good.
That's a good paycheck being in this band.
I wonder what those guys in the backup make for a salary.
They've been, the funny thing about this picture
yeah, go ahead.
The guys he's been with this band longer than he was with his big band.
Right. Tell us about this photo.
This is Paul McCartney. This is the legendary, Paul McCartney of the Beatles. This was Madison Square Garden 2006, I believe. No, maybe 2005. And it's interesting because I was actually credentialed to shoot, but he had all the photographers, instead of in the photo pit, we all had to shoot from by the sound booth. And I wasn't told this until the night of, so I didn't bring like a longer lens. So it is what it is. Still an amazing show, and I'm a diehard Beatle fan. And I've seen him a ton of times, and to this day, he never disappoints. And this band, which he debuted, if you remember, in 2001 when he did the Concert for Life after 9/11.
Oh, yes, of course.
He debuted this band, and he's had this same band ever since.
Yeah, that drummer, he's got that.
That drummer's a monster, too. Yeah, he's
physically,
really good.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
And this band is fantastic, and they can pretty much play anything and everything from his catalog. And I know it's not hardcore, but to me, anyone who loves any sort of music at all, the Beatles is like the ground that we're standing on.
Hey, some people are saying right now, I can't stand it. Ashley says, can't stand the Beatles, yawn.
Wow. Okay. To each his own.
Hey, listen, man.
To each his own.
Hey, I can't stand Phil Collins. Go figure. Shit I hate. Phil Collins, Billy Joel, Styx. And Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters. They might be good, but I hate them. I don't know. I just feel like I'm supposed to hate them now, so I hate them.
Yeah, they just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Shame.
Oh they should definitely be inducted before like Iron Maiden and Black Flag.
Don't even get me started on Iron Maiden not getting in again, so that Jay-Z can get in.
Yep.
Because he's rock and roll. So, but that's a whole other argument in itself.
All right, let's get off the.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not get all riled up. But yeah, no. So I just, that was a pretty cool thing. And listen, everyone has a favorite band. Everyone has a band that you love that other people don't get. I always kind of like that. Like when other people hated something, I'm like, good, more for me. You don't have to like it. One less person getting in my way trying to get a ticket to see them.
Fuck it, they suck. Well,
so
I kind of like them.
Yeah,
All right, bro. Listen. Get off my lawn, Lenny says.
Is that me? Am I the crabby old guy now?
Get off my lawn.
You damn kids. You don't know when I was your age.
I had to go to hardcore shows and
barefoot.
Sweat.
We had to go barefoot. We had to walk there uphill.
We had to take the subway.
We were grateful.
Shut up, you freak. You know what? I gotta get that meme going. Like that.
Oh, the fire hose. That's right.
What's his name? Julius.
It's a madhouse.
All right, listen, we're getting there. Hey,
well, listen, thank you for the laughs because it's going to be a really somber day over here. So I really appreciate it. Everybody, again, happy birthday to Daisha. And I'm not going to be around to say hello to Bobby at the end, so please give him my best.
We love you, man, and all the best to you and your family.
Thank you so much.
Okay, take care. What's happening? It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Chacho's Tacos, Generation Records, and the one, the only, the Texas Silver Rush. It's a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rollet and that other fucking guy, Ringo Starr. Either you like him or you love him or you hate him, right? And of course, Agnostic Front. During this current pandemic, all information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Also, while we're at it, let's shout out Vlad and the Organic Grill. It's a vegan restaurant located at the East Village at 123 First Avenue, featured in New York Magazine, New York Times, and Veg News. The dishes have won numerous awards, including Best Veggie Burger. They make their own cheeses, sausages, and burger patties, and every dish on the menu can be made gluten-free. This year, they're celebrating their 20th anniversary, and they're all about having a great time while enjoying amazing, clean food. After 3 months of being closed, they're now open for deliveries. Get in touch with them and order some great food at www.theorganicgrill.com. Hey, I want to, we have sort of like a new thing we're doing on the show, and people are really digging it. So we're going to bring on our friend. We have a new little feature called T-Shirt of the Week. Always good for a couple laughs. We're going to bring on Matt Gray, who is basically a hoarder and has never thrown anything away in his life.
This is not the shirt of the day. Not the shirt of the day. The Grand Illusion is like iconic. The Beatles are amazing too. Phil Collins sucks. But this is not the shirt of the day, but I can't believe you don't like Styx. Moving on.
Grand Illusion. Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me. Ah!
So good. Dennis DeYoung or Tommy Shaw. I don't know who sings better.
God.
And their drummer, Todd Suckerman, is an incredible monster drummer, let me tell you.
I'm sorry, bro, but I'm programmed. I'm programmed for hatred.
Yeah, that's why you're going to see Madball tonight.
Oh yeah, you got me on that. Yeah, it's true. You got me on that one. That was funny. And what? All this crap is at your fingertips?
I got everything. Yeah, I mean, relatively. Yeah, my closet right behind me. I have 139 just behind that door. I counted.
Crazy.
So, you ready for it?
Yeah. Let's see. What is the shirt of the week?
So the shirt of the week is Sex Pistols, Fuck Forever. So, I'm not old enough, obviously, to see the Sex Pistols, but in 1996, they did that reunion tour with Glenn Matlock, and I cruised into the city to Roseland, saw the Sex Pistols, loved it, paid $35 for this shirt, and let me tell you, I bet you it's worth a couple hundred on eBay, that's for sure.
You bought that at the show?
I bought it. Yeah, I bought it at the show. Yeah, at the Roseland.
Anything on the back?
Nothing. Just white.
Do you ever wear it?
It's an XL. It's too huge. I put it on before. You could see how just extremely big this is. I mean, it's humongous.
A question from Lori Dawn: are your shirts alphabetized?
No, but all my records are.
Hey, you know what?
I have well over probably 1,500 CDs, and they used to be alphabetized, thanks to my wife Becky. And then we moved, and that all went to shit. So,
hey, being that you're on the show, and I just remembered I'm in a band with you. Okay. We have a show coming up.
Announce it.
Yeah, we got this coming up. It's been announced Saturday, July 10th. Antidote NYHC, Urban Waste, Crazy Eddie, the Car Bomb Parade, and Reaching Out at the Kingsland.
It's awesome.
Are you excited to play?
Oh yeah, man. That's
Just try to keep up. Just try to keep up with me, bro.
I'm ready. I'm good.
Just do your best to keep up with me. But yeah, you know, excited. New York supposedly open up July 1st.
Right on.
This is going to be a balls out show.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. It'd be cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's right. Oh, as Lenny said, listen to Lenny, everybody. He knows. So, hey, Daisha, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daisha. So, all right, man. Cool. What else? Anything
Awesome.
else?
That's the T-shirt of the day. That's it.
What's going on there with the Ramones? What do you like, the Ramones?
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't like the Ramones? I mean, Phil Collins sucks, like we said, but the Ramones. I got a bunch of Ramones record. I had Thomas.
Favorite top 3 favorite Ramones drummers?
Oh my God, Richie Ramone is so underrated. That dude he kills it. Best.
Yeah, he's good.
I don't include Elvis Ramone. Wasn't that his name?
Well, it's Clem Burke. He only played like a couple shows.
2 shows, yeah. I don't consider him part of it. Yeah. I've filled in for bands before. I'm not in a band. You know what I mean? But definitely Richie is the top. I don't care.
Hey, could you, before you go, could you do the Man of War symbol for us?
Sign of the Hammer. Death to Falls Metal, of course. Without a doubt.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Much love, man.
Take care.
You got it.
Well, there you go. That's Mac Ray T-shirt of the week. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Chacho's Tacos, and our latest sponsor, Generation Records. Generation Records has been a mainstay on the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as T-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia, and I know because I just brought them all my crap. I was like, yo, just take all this fucking crap. Just give me something for it. Just crap. Fucking just yeah. Can't carry this shit around. My sister's like, get it out of my basement. I'm like, yo, Mark, will you take this crap? House calls are made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram. That said, let's bring on our guest. Yeah, hey, that's your boy right there, right? Laura, you grew up with Ron Grimaldi out in Long Island. Lori Dawn, shout out to Ron at Generation Records. All right. What's happening, Gaz, in Liverpool? Is it just by chance we had the Paul McCartney picture of the day today and you're checking in from Liverpool? Right? Yeah, there you go. What did I see? Hold on. Hard to hear, Matt. Listen, bro, try being in a band with him. Could you imagine? That said, shout out to Long Island. All right, here we go. Let's clear the deck. What the heck? Boom. All right, here we go. Today's guest is an American guitarist, songwriter hailing from the Garden State of New Jersey. He's known for his work with Paradox, Sloppy Seconds, Times Square, and the Warlords. The Whorelords, excuse me. He is perhaps best known for his work with the Misfits during their iconic period of 1978 to 1980, having played on The Horror Business, Night of the Living Dead, and 3 Hits from Hell EPs. Since 1981, he's been at the helm of one of the pioneers of the New York hardcore scene, the Undead. Please welcome, coming at us from lovely Dumont, New Jersey, Mr. Bobby Steele. Hey, man.
How you doing, Matt? I mean,
it's me, Drew, bro.
Drew, how you doing, man?
What's up, Bobby?
Doing okay.
How's Dumont?
It's Dumont. It's a nice, quiet town.
Good. I see you. You know, you look good. You sound good.
I feel good.
Good, good. Hey, let's jump right into it. What was going on with you guys when the pandemic hit? Did you have to put stuff on hold? How's the past year been for you?
We just put like all gigs like on hold. I mean, we actually had a gig booked in Detroit like in like early March that we had to cancel, and I'm not really sure what else we had going on there. But that was like I just remember that one specifically because that was when we had to pull the plug on. It was kind of a shame because it was going to be a benefit for something also. So we really kind of like debated a lot about like whether or not we should pull out on something like that. But it was a good thing we did because that was like just at that time was when everything really just like blew up like really bad. So we played it safe.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been a quick year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like shit, a year's gone. But listen, we're gonna get things are opening up again, and of course, and we'll get into it in a little while. Of course, you guys are part of our A7 family, man. It's
Yeah.
like, and you played when we first got the A7 back up and running. You guys played again, and like that place is hollow ground, and I know you have an incredible history there. But
Yeah, that was like our home.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So tell us, like, how did you come up? Where did you grow up, and did you come from a musical household? Was there music in your house?
Well, I grew up in New Milford, which is just like the next town over from where I am now, and we didn't really have a musical household aside from like listening to music. My parents were really into like the late era of jazz, and then when rock and roll came around, they all got into the rock and roll. So as far back as I can remember, in the mornings when we'd be having breakfast, they would have the radio on, and it would be like the MCA Good Guys playing rock and roll music, and Cousin Brucey, and all those people. So I grew up like listening to like a lot of the legendary DJs from like WABC and WMCA.
Yeah. What was his name? William B. Williams, right?
No, I don't remember him, but I remember Cousin Brucey, Murray the
Yeah.
K.
Of course, yeah, Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you
Harry Harrison.
Harry Harrison, sure. I mean, those are the AM. Those are the great AM days.
Yeah.
Now, didn't you do some growing up in Hawaii?
Yeah, we actually in 1962, like after school got out, we packed up everything and we moved to Hawaii with the intention of like living there permanently. But my father couldn't find a good job, and the schools really hadn't been like developed yet. The whole state was still very like in its early stages. I mean, I can remember going to a church that was just like a thatched roof on poles.
Wow.
So it was like really like still like somewhat of a tropical paradise. Now I like I look at pictures now, and it's just like it's crazy.
Yeah. Now you were born in New Milford, New Jersey. You moved to Hawaii. You came back to New Jersey. Now, as a child, you were stricken with polio, correct?
Yeah. Well, I was born with spina bifida, and then actually it was during the trip to Hawaii that I got hit with polio.
Wow.
So I brought back a souvenir.
Wow. That's and what were you, 5, 6 years old?
I was I was about 6.
Incredible. Growing up in New Jersey, we're talking about music on the radio. Why did you gravitate to guitar? What inspired you to pick up the guitar?
Oh, that's easy. The Beatles. And I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show, and that was just that was it. Like
Wow.
I knew that's what I wanted to do. So like I just like started going out, just like I just lived a block away from this like huge apartment complex, and I would just go door to door, like every day after school. I would just go knocking on people's doors and collect like empty soda bottles and milk bottles and beer bottles, and go down to the supermarket and cash them in. And I found out like where like the high school kids were like partying in the woods, and I would go there like on Mondays and collect all the beer bottles and take those in and cash those in. And
Wow.
then I saved up $13, went to EJ Corvettes and bought my first guitar for $13.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow. EJ Corvettes, man, that's the name of the past.
Remember that?
God. Wow, yeah, hustling at a young age, man.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Did you were you what's the word I'm looking for? Did you take lessons or did you were you self-taught?
Well, when I had my first guitar for like, I got one when I was 7, and it came with a book, and I tried to like learn from the book, and I really couldn't figure it out. Plus it was like a really cheap piece of shit guitar, so the action was really bad. So trying to like just like fret that first fret was just like so frustrating. I kind of set it aside. Then a friend of mine's grandfather, one day I brought it down to his house, and his grandfather played guitar, and he could play like all that like really cool like hillbilly finger picking stuff, and he started to teach me. And then he had a heart attack and died. So that kind of like shelved things until I was about 13, 14, when I had the tumor in my spine, and I was like laid up for like several months, and it was during that time that my mother's best friend's son had been taking guitar lessons, and he came over and he started showing me a little bit of stuff, and I took it from there. And when I got back into school, one of my classmates was taking guitar lessons from this guy that like just lived a few blocks away. His name was Van Moretti, and I went to him, and he was fairly expensive, but so he arranged that he would like since I was kind of like paying for everything out of my own pocket from delivering newspapers. He said, okay, look, I'll let you take a half-hour lesson. I usually don't do that. So I went to him for a couple of years, and that's where I really like learned like a lot of theory and
Right.
chord technique and all that kind of stuff. And to me, he was the guy. He was just a guitar teacher down the street, but I found out years later that he was like a big deal. He actually when I first when I started going online, one of the first things I Googled was his name, and the first thing that came up was a quote from Brian Setzer saying that everything he learned on guitar, he learned from reading articles written by Van Moretti. So I was
No
like,
shit.
whoa, yeah.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
amazing. A lot of those guys back then, a lot of guys moonlighted as guitar teachers.
Yeah.
Joe Satriani was a guitar teacher,
Yeah.
and a lot of guys, did lessons on the side.
Yeah.
Pays
the bills.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
better than making records.
So how did that morph into your first band? Was Paratox your first band?
No, my first band was called Burlap Candle, and it was we were kind of like, I guess, almost like a pre-punk band. We tried doing covers. We couldn't figure it out, so we started like doing our own songs. And I had a drummer. His name was John Fay. He was a guy that had come up from Jersey City in Newark. He was a real rough guy. He stole cars, and he was like a badass. And he moved up here, and somebody poked fun at him. Called him a spick, and he just threw the guy right through a window. So and had another classmate, Angela Melendez, who I'd been talking to about, doing something with. And one day I just went over to Angelo's house, and we were just like, trying to like learn some songs together. And Angelo's sister came in, and she had a crush on this guy, John, that was in her class in school. So she kind of like finagled getting him over. He was a really good drummer. And it just kind of like fell together like that.
And then, so that was the first one, Burlap Candle.
Yeah.
Interesting name.
Oh yeah,
And
we were kind of all the other bands in town were kind of like very serious musicians and blues and jazz and all this type stuff, and we were kind of like, I mean, we really were like the punks, and this was like 1972, and we were kind of just doing original music, and we were like, we were fans of Alice Cooper, while everybody else was like into the Grateful Dead. So that was actually where I originally came up with the idea for the name The Undead, but nobody wanted to play with me with a band with a name like that. So
I want to ask you, now that you bring up sort of 1972 and stuff, did you make excursions into the city? Does anyone, thinking back, did you go into the city to like, we got to see these guys play? Do you remember any early gigs of like, wow, I saw that band early on? Or did you make any like excursions into the city from out there in Jersey?
Not to the clubs, but like I went to the Garden. I saw Alice Cooper a few times at the Garden. Then most of the shows like out here, like the big thing was the Capitol Theater in
Sure.
Passaic. So
Sure.
there I saw like Slade and
Yeah.
actually I saw Slade a few times. I saw them at the Felt Forum at the
That was
Garden.
a great. That was a great venue. The
That was
Capitol
great. I
Theater.
actually saw
Yeah.
Slade, and the opening act was Aerosmith.
Wow.
And that was like a really, really good show. Sort of like Blue Oyster Cult, Mountain. A lot of, that was the thing to do. I mean, tickets were like $3 to $5, and you got to see a really good show. I saw the New York Dolls. There was actually a bar like not too far from my house, and the New York Dolls actually played a couple of shows. It was like my birthday, so I went there and I saw them, and that was the red patent leather era. So I got to see some good stuff.
Yeah. Scott Earth from Silence Equals Death says my first concert was there at the Capitol Theater as well. I saw a couple shows at the Capitol. That was an interesting place. Honestly, when I was asking about you going to the city, what was in the back of my mind was like the Dolls or Johnny Thunders or any of that stuff. But I guess they were on your radar screen back then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I got into the Dolls. Like I saw the they were on the midnight special.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just like, just watching Johnny play that guitar and, spinning around and just like, that just like totally like, got me. I went right out and I bought that album.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Scott says he saw Missing Persons at the Capitol. All right. Missing Persons with Terry Bozzio. Not mad at that. So Paradox, I guess has got to be coming up pretty soon, right? Paradox, and is that right that Mike Massaris was in Paradox with you?
Mike Massaris was in Paradox. We also had Richie Rich, who was in oh man, I can't think of that band now. They had that song New York Ripper.
Not Neon Leon.
No. Oh man, what the heck was that?
I'll look it up. But tell us about Paradox.
That was again just I had a few friends that really just wanted to like do something. This was right after I had surgery on my leg, so I was like laid up. I had a cast, from my foot up to my hip, and we just started working on stuff, doing some originals, doing some covers, some punk stuff, and our whole thing was, fuck New York City, fuck CBGBs. We want to do, we want to be dangerous, so we want to play like New Jersey. Okay, where punk was just like demonized, and we would play like cowboy bars, and we would go in there, and what we would do is we would start the night, and we would do like Rolling Stones, Beatles, Jimi Hendrix covers, and we would get the crowd into us, and then we would hit them with like the Ramones and the Damned, and you'd have like these cowboys like all like at the end of the night, all these cowboys like pogoing around and like getting into punk rock. So it was a fun thing. We played a lot of high schools. That was actually Adrenaline OD. We played their high school. That's what really inspired them to get started.
Sure. Dave, Dave and
yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back on some of those Jersey clubs back then, like that I remember, like way out there in like northern New Jersey.
We had like Eddie's
the
Lounge.
The show place.
The show place. We played the show place a few times.
Yep. Yeah, there was a lot of them. So Factory Disco. So Factory Disco.
Yeah. Oh, the Soap Factory. Yeah.
Soap Factory. Yeah. I remember all that. But yeah, the New York Ripper was the Violators.
Right, the Violators. That's it. Yeah.
And for those that might not know recognize the name Mike, is it Massaris? Is that how you pronounce his name?
I think so.
Yeah. For those that might not know, Mike Massaris, that was in Paradox with Bobby, Mike went on to play in the Smithereens, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Also, another member of the band of Paradox was Roy Christopher, who wound up like playing with Steve Zing in China.
Oh wow, cool.
And actually, yeah, that was one of the gigs we actually did was the Lodi Boys Club, and that's where I first met Steve Zing, and he was just like an 8th grade kid.
And Steve Zing, of course, later comes back into play because he plays drums on a couple of the Undead records.
Right.
Yeah. And Steve Zing, for those out there who recognize the name, he goes on to play in Sam Hain, and he's sort of like part of that extended Misfits family as well.
Yeah.
So moving forward to that, did the Whore Lords happen before you ended up in the Misfits?
Yeah. That was just like there was like this like short period like after Paradox had broke up. I had started the band called Slash that was with Bobby Snots on vocals, and then Bobby still had the Whore Lords, and they were having some problems with one of the guitar players, so they kicked him out and like asked me if I would just like fill in for a couple of shows. I think I did like maybe 2 shows. One of them was at Max's, and then right from there I auditioned for the Misfits. And
was Joey in the Whore Lords? Joey Image?
Not at that time, no. He was in the Whore Lords after the Misfits.
Got it. Okay. So what was the Misfits? How did the audition? How did that come across your radar screen for the Misfits?
I had put an ad in the Aquarian. It was a music paper out here, and
of course,
yeah,
the legendary Aquarian.
I was like looking. I was looking for a punk band. And my ad said, because I just got so fed up with just musicians just jerking around. So I put an ad in there, saying must be serious, must have management and a record deal. And Glenn called up and lied.
Wow.
But I was just like so blown away by Bullet, when they played that for me. And I mentioned it to Bobby Snots, and Bobby just said, "Bobby, if you don't join that band, you're crazy." So that was it. Bobby
Snots is a forgotten character in the landscape of the early punk and New York hardcore scene. Bobby Snots was like a real piece of work, man. He was a real early like character, like right out of the page, like Sid Vicious or Johnny Rotten. He was a real character.
He was a character, and he put on this badass front, but like if you knew him like personally, he was like he was a gentle soul. He was just like very, very, he had a lot of like demons chasing him around. And it was kind of a shame because he was a guy that would, if you knew him as a friend, you saw him cry, but he wouldn't put that on in public at all.
Well, my memory of Bobby Snots is of course me being young, a teenager, but was sort of in that very early punk era, late 70s, early 80s, where like you had, people sort of had these personas, you had, like a Sid Vicious, Johnny Rotten, Joey Vomit, like Bobby Snots. And he was like, that whole bit. So, so you end up auditioning for the Misfits. And I'm assuming at the time it was, of course, Glenn and Jerry. And was it Joey Image on drums?
Joey was on drums already.
Yeah. So there you go. So you kind of slide into the Misfits in 1978, which is incredible when I think about it, because, 1978, I mean, punk itself in America, like what people thought of punk in America in 1978, it still was so off the radar screen,
It was. Yeah, there wasn't a big scene, so everybody kind of knew everybody, if not by name, at least by their face.
It was a small scene, and I guess the first show that you played with the Misfits was December 3rd, 1978 at Max's. And Max's is a place that we really haven't talked about on the show very much. And after doing my homework, I could see you played Max's just with the Misfits alone 6 times. Could you kind of set the table for our viewers as far as what was Max's?
Well, Max's was a famous steakhouse, and upstairs they had a live music venue, and they had it was one of the clubs that had like a really great sound system. It was very it had been established since I don't know like how early in the 70s it had opened, and you had people like Alice Cooper had played there in their early days. There was Kiss had played there, so it was it was one of these places that just really supported independent music. Peter Crowley was the guy that was pretty much the brains behind it, as far as I'm concerned. He was the one that booked the bands. Okay, there was other people that handled a lot of the business, but Peter Crowley was the one that really could recognize talent. And back then, the thing with CBGBs and Maxes was that they nurtured talent. Okay, they didn't come in there and say, okay, we need you to guarantee this big a draw. You need to give us this much money up front in order to, as your production fee or anything like that. They were like, look, come in here Monday night, play, let's see how you do. You do good, we'll have you come in on Wednesday, and we'll move you up the bill on Wednesday. If you're getting a really good response, we'll have you open for, the Heartbreakers or the Dead Boys or somebody like that on a Friday. And so they would try to, if they saw that you had potential, they would try to build you up to where you would have an audience, and they would pay you.
Yeah, I'm looking for, I think I have a shot. Let me see. I got to have a shot at it. Do I have a shot at Max's? Let me see. I got the Undead at Max's. Misfits at Max's. Here we go. Shot of the very colorful Misfits playing Max's back then. Is that a Strat you're playing?
No, that was a Gibson Marauder. That guitar was stolen at the second Undead show.
Oh, let me guess, out of a car on the Lower East Side.
No, out of a van in the West Village.
Oh, geez, yes. I tell you, back then, it's amazing. You take your eye off the car for 1 second. Back then, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is some sort
of... That looks like it would have been our first gig.
Oh, is that right?
The first gig with me in it, yeah, because Joey still had the drum set with all the different pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right after that, Jerry bought him a black kit.
And Jerry's wearing the lime green tights. So
Jerry made those himself, and what he didn't understand was that you need a special kind of sewing machine with a special type of stitch in order to sew spandex. He didn't realize that when he did his first split, the pants just came apart.
There you go. I mean, one of the things about the Misfits, which we've spoken about many times, is in a lot of ways, they really there was no roadmap before them. I mean, there was a couple bands, of course, Black Flag being one of them, but the Misfits really sort of blazed the trail with that DIY ethic as far as printing up all their own shirts and silk screening the posters and all that, and that was very much in effect when you joined the band, right?
That was. I mean, Glenn and Jerry really had a talent for that kind of stuff. Glenn had gone to art school. Jerry had a good business sense, and they just put that together. I mean, if Glenn had an idea, they would put their heads together and they would figure out a way to manifest it. And that was one of the things that really that I really appreciated about being part of that band. I learned a lot about art and poster design, advertising design, things like that, from working especially with Glenn.
Yeah, and one thing I notice about just looking at the dates, that the Misfits really didn't play that often back then.
No.
Why is that?
Well, part of that was we were trying to create the impression that we were touring.
I see.
If we weren't seen around a lot, so people would just assume that we were off on the road somewhere. And also, we wanted to make it that when we did a gig, it wasn't just a gig; it was an event.
Right. And here's another great one from that era. Now, I mean, Joey passed away recently. God rest his soul.
Yeah, about a year ago.
Yeah, he was great. But so you join the band and things get rolling. And listen, arguably, there's a good contingent of people out there who really feel like the golden age of the Misfits and their great work was done with you on guitar when you played on the Horror Business EP, Night of the Living Dead, and 3 Hits for Hell. That was really the golden age, for a lot of people. And like I said, for a lot, their most favorite era era of the Misfits. Any recollections of recording some of those early like Horror Business or Night of the Living Dead? Like, I mean, going into the recording studio. I mean,
well, especially Horror Business. I mean, that was a disaster. We we still had a lot of free time available to us at CI Studio, which was like a major studio that I think Phonogram owned. One of the major record labels owned it, and that was where like a lot of like disco hits came out of. That's where like a lot of TV like show theme songs had come out of. So you know, we were scheduled to be there, at a given time, and I showed up. I was there, and there was like this whole like layout of drinks, and those guys like were like 3 hours late. So what am I doing for 3 hours? I'm drinking, and I'm eating the food. So by the time they get there, I'm pretty blitzed, and they show up with like an amp for me. It's like this little 5-watt amp, and Jerry's got his 300-watt acoustic amp, and they had us set up. Joey was in a booth, like all isolated from us, and my amp was maybe 4 feet away from Jerry's amp. So if you were to like actually get your hand on that master tape and like listen to the guitar track, you would hear more bass than guitar on that track, because here you had this 300-watt amp against this like 5-watt amp. Bleeding into the mic.
But and yet those records have this incredible, sound to them that you would be hard pressed to duplicate.
It was accidental. Then what happened was when we went back into mix, it was just after Sid had died, and Sid's mother was, Jerry had been like helping Sid's mother around. So he showed up at the studio with Sid's mother, and we really don't know what the hell we're doing in the studio. And we're sitting there and we're listening to the playback. I can't hear enough of my guitar. Okay, turn it up. I don't hear the snare drum. Okay, turn it up. Now I don't hear the kick drum. Turn it up. Now I don't hear the vocals. Okay, turn it up. Until we had all the faders all the way, and you couldn't go any further. And it was like, okay, I guess that's it. So
wow.
That's how that turned out.
Wow.
I do also remember that, like during I think it was recording Teenagers from Mars, we had Joey like redo the drums after we had like done the track, after we had like already like laid down the initial tracks.
Sure.
So we were like in the recording booth and watching Joey play, and to see the power of him playing the drums, because when you're playing, you're concentrating what you're doing. You're not like watching anybody else. And we were all just like in awe, because Joey had these arms with these huge muscles, and when he was playing those drums, he was attacking them. It was just like, I mean, you see the way Doyle plays guitar today, the way he attacks it.
Sure.
And Joey was the equivalent of that on the drums. It was just like, he was just like killing those drums.
I got a question here. Our friend Rue did a super chat. Bobby, when you played guitar for the Misfits, were all guitar parts downstrokes?
Oh, yes.
Everything.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You were not, there was no way you were going to do any like double strokes with the Misfits or the Undead for that matter. It was all downstroke. And I think that was one of the reasons why, I was able to get into the band, because I had that ability to do all the downstrokes. That
makes a lot of sense, man. Yeah. And here's another one. From 245-3X9, welcome to the show, whoever you may be. What kind of amps were you using in those early days? Was that your Fender combo you were using?
No. When I started out, I was using a V4. That's an Ampeg 100-watt amp. It was basically the same kind of amp that Doyle used when he took over. After about the third gig or so, I had bought a Marshall. It was a Marshall 100-watt Plexi, which if you knew how cheap I got that back then, I think I paid $7.50 for the whole half stack,
Wow.
and that's what what you see me using at the Irving Plaza show, at the pictures from that. Uh, then by the time we got to the Exile show, because one of the problems always was that Jerry was so loud
Right.
that all you heard was Jerry on stage,
Right.
and so it was this competition. Like, I just wanted to be able to hear myself. So at the last show that I did with them at Exile,
That's what this photo is here, by the way.
yeah, I see that one. And at that show, I had my V4 full stack, my Marshall half stack with a Fender twin reverb combo all together, to just to be able to hear myself over Jerry.
Well, this show here at Exile in Long Island City was the last show that you played with the Misfits, and I could see my old bandmate Arthur Googie playing drums, because he ended up, once he left the Misfits, he started Antidote, and when I joined Antidote, he was playing drums. But I guess this was the one and only gig you played with the Goog, right?
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah. Now, I mean, before this, I guess, or during this, which is a really great piece of sort of, we could say, Misfits folklore, was you guys recorded this 12 hit, what eventually is known as 12 Hits from Hell, with this lineup, which really, I mean, myself included, it's a lost classic, man.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a shame that that it never really got out there, because it would have been very beneficial to me financially, and it's just something, like, I mean, fans just went crazy over what they did hear of it.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to it now, and it's great. I listened to the whole thing recently, and it's great. And I want to just say, anybody out there who's just wondering what we're talking about, there was a recording that the band did at the time with this lineup that was scuttled. It was never released. A couple of the tracks came out on the 3 Hits from Hell or whatever, but there was 12 songs that they recorded with this lineup, and it's really great. You can find it, and it was released, and then they pulled it back. So if you have a cassette of this, it's not a cassette. It was released
CD.
on CD by Caroline. If you have one of the CDs of this, it is worth a lot of money. But it's on the internet. You can listen to it on YouTube. Just Google, on YouTube, Misfits 12 hits from Hell.
Something a lot of people don't realize about Googie. Googie is a character. Okay, he's definitely one of a kind. Okay, when they made him, they broke the mold.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if they broke it before or after, but they broke the mold. And when Googie came to audition, the way he wound up getting in there was, I used to always drop in at Natasha's store, and one day I went in there, and there was a sales girl that was working there, and I told her that we were looking for a drummer, and she said, "Oh, my boyfriend plays drums." So she gave me his number, and I called him, and he's, I'll do this. So I went, I arranged to pick him up. I took him to the studio, and he did the audition, and he went through with flying colors. And now I'm driving him back home, and he turns to me and goes, "I got to tell you, Bobby, I never played a song before." And I mean, that was Googie. If he was going to do it, he was going to do it, And
he was a really, like you said, like a character, man.
Yeah.
But his drumming is really unique and great.
He's a clock.
And even on the Antidote, he plays on "Thou Shalt Not Kill" Antidote.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of those, the same sort of Misfits. Da 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 boom da doom da doom da 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 da. It's like something must be done, and it's the same as he was great, and he doesn't play drums anymore.
No, it's a shame. And the 12 Hits from Hell session, that was done live. That was like me, Jerry, and Googie.
Wow.
Just like we stood in a circle facing each other.
Wow.
And it was just like 1, 2, 3, 4, and we just blew through that set. And that's why there's that that bonus version of London Dungeon,
Yeah.
you can hear like that was it live.
Yeah.
Then Doyle came in and he overdubbed his tracks on there, but everything that I did there was one take live.
Incredible. Let me ask you about this. Your bandmate Joe Stoker, who is really the Undead sort of historian. He's the keeper of the flame.
Oh, he's nuts. He knows everything about everybody.
Very knowledgeable music lover. He shared this with me. This is a very rare poster. I think only a couple of these were made for the Misfits tour with the Damned, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, this didn't happen, right?
It did, but it didn't. We did one show.
Right.
We did play the Montfort Hall in Leicester, and then everything kind of just fell apart after that.
One show and it fell apart.
Yeah. We did one show, and then we did a sound check for the next show. And,
what happened? You guys got arrested after the sound check?
No. What happened was, like we were actually like back then, in order to like go to Europe, you had to go through the union. So we had joined the union, and the union had gotten contract, like it wasn't a contract, but you had to do like, for every hour that an American musician played in England, a British musician had to play America. So there was like this whole exchange thing. But we were going there through Premier Talent, and everything was set up. Jerry was given the contracts, and he flew out ahead of us to get the contracts signed. Right. And we were going to fly standby. So when Jerry called Glenn and said, okay, I got the contract signed, come out, we took his word for it. We got out there, we did the first gig, and went to get paid. And the dance manager says, you're not getting paid. And Glenn says, wait a second, we were told we were getting, I think it was $200 a show. And he was told, no, you're not getting paid anything. And Glenn turned to Jerry and said, Jerry, where's the contract? And Jerry started the I didn't get them signed. So it was kind of like, okay, well, let's try one more show. And so we did we went to Cambridge, and we did our sound check. And as we walked off the stage, the Damned road manager came and said to us, you're not getting paid. So that was it. We just packed up our stuff. We hijacked the band's tour bus, got to a train station, left the bus there, got on the train, and went to London.
And is that like the London Dungeon story? How does that come into play?
Yeah, well, that came into play. We were kind of hoping that we would still do like the show with the Damned at the Rainbow Theater. Right. And at that point, Joey had enough. Joey, was dealing with a lot of issues, and he just knew that his addiction at that time to heroin was so bad that it was getting in the way of the band too much.
Well, so it's always kind of hard to travel to another country when you have a heroin habit.
Yeah, so he'd had enough. So the morning of the gig at the Rainbow Theater, he had snuck off and caught a flight back home. So we weren't able to do the show, but we went there to see the Damned, and we hung out with them backstage. And then the next night, the Jam were playing, and we got like on the guest list to go see the Jam. So it was just going to be me and Glenn. Jerry was going to I think Kent to see Sid's mother, and me and Glenn went to the Rainbow Theater. It was early, so we went to the pub across the street, and we were just hanging out, having a beer. And Glenn was a little bit too lit, I think, and he kept telling me that there were skinheads in the back of the pub that were conspiring to start a fight with us. Oh boy! And I turned to look, and Glenn goes, "Don't look, don't look," and he just kept really worrying about these skinheads that were in the back, and that they were talking about us, and I don't know how he would know that or why he thought that, but it just got to the point where I was just annoyed. So I said, look, I'm going to go get something to eat. I walked down the street to a fish and chip shop, and I got like, you know, a bag of chips, and I'm walking back towards the pub, and I noticed across the street, Glenn is like in front of the Rainbow Theater, and he's kind of squatted on the ground, and I just see his hand going like side to side, and I'm like, what the heck is he doing? So I walk over there, and as I get close to him, security guards from the Rainbow Theater run out and grab Glenn and drag him in. Now, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but like, I just know my friend's in trouble. So I go after him, and these guys try to stop me, and I got this bag of hot chips in my hand. So I throw it at the guy. Now they grab me, and they pin me down, and they're getting a little rough with me when another one of the security guys comes out and recognizes me from the damn show the night before and says, oh, he's okay, leave him alone. So they let me go, and they called the police, and the police came and took Glenn away. And I was stranded. Okay, Glenn had all the money. Ooh. And our hotel was far from the Rainbow Theater, and I didn't know my way around London at all. So I was kind of like, what do I do? So I figured the best thing would be to go to the police station and just get the cops to get Glenn to like give me some money so I can get home. Ooh. And so I get directions to the police station. I go to the police station, and the cops are kind of like not being very accommodating with me. And then the security.
Well, let's take note of what year this was too. This was what, 79?
79. And so now I'm coming out of the police station, and up the steps comes these two big guys, and they're like security guys from the Rainbow Theater. And the one guy is like the head of security, this big guy, and he started to like really get heavy with me, and I'm pretty wasted, you know. So I'm kind of like, you know, I'm trying to calm him down, like, hey man, you know, and he's just like, no, I want to kick your ass. Okay. So I just had it, so I just spit at him. Mm-hmm. And now, like, I could have put a bullet through his head, and mm-hmm. it wouldn't have been as bad an offense as spitting, because in England there is nothing worse that you could do apparently than spit. And these cops come out and drag me in, and they rough me up, and they throw me in the cell, you know.
With Glenn. No.
I was in a cell with a different guy. I was in the cell with this guy, Steve. He was in for murder.
Oh, Jesus.
The person hadn't died yet, but they were holding him, waiting for the person to die. But he was being charged with murder.
Gotcha.
And so that's how the whole London dungeon thing like really came about. Wow. And you know, we were like, you know, we were held in, you know, in cells there, and then in the morning we were taken by they had this bus that goes from jail to jail and picks up all the people from the night before, and each one of you is like in your own like little like cell on the bus.
The Black Mariah, yeah.
Is that what they call it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And so I mean, it was a scenic tour of London. You know what I mean? As far as, you know, I was taking it at that point. I was like, oh look, wow, oh that's that, you know, oh wow. And
what an adventure.
It was, yeah. I mean, you know, then we got brought to like the, you know, the central courthouse, and there we were put in a holding cell together. It was this big square room, mm-hmm. and it had a great reverb. It was like literally like an old recording studio reverb chamber.
Right.
And I just turned to Glenn at that point, and I said, you know, you should write a song about this whole thing and call it London Dungeon. And he just sat there for just a minute, and he starts going, and just like listening to that, like echoing off the walls. And then he starts going, bum, 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 bum. And we're both doing this in the cell. And it was just like, I wish I could have, recorded that moment, because it was just this song just came out of nowhere with him.
Well, he's a talented guy, man.
He is. I mean, you can't
in his own right. Absolutely, he's a very talented guy. Let me take a break here and shout out my sponsors and do a little business, and we'll come back and we'll continue with the Undead. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What's happening, everyone? It is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, Chain Reaction, Records and Skateboards, Chacho's Tacos, Generation Records, and DTFM Vinyl Distro. DTFM Vinyl Distro is a record store that specializes in underground music, punk, ska, hardcore metal, and more. Located in the heart of Fargo, North Dakota's industrial district, shop in person or online at www.dtfmvinyldistro.com, where the motto is Death to False Metal. Also, lest we forget, our friends the Gutierrez brothers in Corpus Christi, Texas. Chacho's Tacos opened their doors in 2001, home of the almighty Chacho's Taco. They cook up an incredible home-style Tex-Mex food, and this month they're celebrating their 20th anniversary in the game. They've been supporting underground music since the beginning, and in their own words, we ain't stopping anytime soon. Touring bands that play Corpus Christi swing by and get a home-cooked meal at Chacho's Tacos. We got you. The underground scene will never die. The underground scene will never die. Please follow us on Facebook or on Instagram. You know what? Let me get last but not least. And this, you know what? How's this? How's this for an intro? Because we're going to bring him on the show right after this. Sid the Kid's not doing Record of the Week, but we have Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, located in Lakewood, Colorado, is the Rocky Mountain headquarters for all things punk, hardcore, and metal. Established in 2014, they have the largest selection of records, CDs, shirts, stickers, patches, and accessories between Chicago and Los Angeles. From the pit to the ditch, they got your back. Get in touch with them at www.chainreactionrecords.com. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on Josh Lent from Chain Reaction. What's up, bro?
Yeah, what's happening, dude?
I mean, what's happening? What's happening in Colorado, baby?
It's raining. It's been raining a lot for a couple of weeks now. Still getting a little bit of snow here and there too.
Snowing still, huh?
Yeah. But
what's new in the store, man?
What is new in the store? Well, the first thing I'm going to show is not in the store. This is my copy, 7 Seconds the Crew. This is a repress. I used to have the red cover, but I gave it to my buddy like 25 years ago. Chatted with him yesterday. He still has it. The significance is that it's getting a really cool deluxe repressing on Trust Records. It's right now there's two versions they have up on the site. They have the red vinyl, and it comes with the bonus 7-inch, like a 25-page book. The red vinyl sold out. There's a red and black vinyl version. I picked up a copy of that yesterday. 1,500 copies of it worldwide. Now they did the Circle Jerks 40th anniversary repress a while back. They did make a black vinyl version. That
by the way, the faction tee is getting mad love.
Oh, rad! Yeah, that's from when I brought him to Denver a few years ago.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no sweat. Yeah, so Trust Records did that Circle Jerks 40th anniversary repress. They did end up putting out a black vinyl version for retail. So when the retail version hits, we'll probably end up having that in the shop. But if you're a big 7 Seconds fan, jump on that Trust Records site and grab one of those limited edition colored vinyls. This just got repressed. It's going for $12. Original copy of this probably run you, at least $30, probably in the neighborhood of 70, 75, something like that.
You know who was listening to Hatebreed this morning?
Were you?
My dad.
No way, your dad was spinning some Hatebreed, huh?
Yo, me and him were talking about our new film, and that we had. To make a long story even shorter. Someone that's involved in the film financially, there's been talk about me doing a Hatebreed documentary. And I started talking to my dad about it. And I said, yeah, Hatebreed, check it out. So next thing I know, he's over there watching all these Hatebreed videos.
Hell yeah.
Like the real hard shit. Like, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh.
That's awesome. Yeah. My dad doesn't get into too much stuff like that. He can, my dad, he can handle some social distortion, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So go on.
Right,
go on.
This just dropped a little while ago. Colossus.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Right there, you got it. New York hardcore.
Yeah.
Really heavy. The vocals on this are vicious. And that Triple B Records, man, they're killing it. Doing a lot of crossover stuff. Yeah, the bands on Triple B, you can't go wrong. Now this one is not, pun intended, is not the new metal band.
Right.
Right? This was actually
Boston?
Revelation 13. Revelation Records 13. Originally released in 1989. Just got a proper repress. This album didn't make much of a splash at the time. Maybe because of the artwork. Also because Revelation was really keyed in on straight edge at the time. And these guys weren't. This record, they're a three-piece. This sounds like the lost tracks from Corrosion of Conformity, Animosity.
Slipknot, that version of Slipknot was a Boston band, right?
Yeah. And they were more in the Corrosion of Conformity, Animosity type sound.
Got
it.
It
Didn't sound like anything on Revelation. Super weird album cover. I embarrassingly did not even know of these guys until this repress came out, and I read the description of it when I was ordering records, and I was like, that's right up my alley. So I listened to it online. I've just been flipping this over and over and over.
Nice.
Freaking love this record.
I'm not really familiar with it. I'll check it out.
It's that spastic hardcore, like think Septic Death, United Mutation, Corrosion of Conformity, Dicroitzen, maybe The Accused a little bit. Now the last thing I'm going to show, I'm just going to show it because Sid's not here. No record of the day. This is the 1989 pressing on Postmortem. This is my copy. Fucking love this record. This was actually a compilation of some 7-inches.
Right on.
And with hopefully with Bobby within earshot, I've got to say that the song Misfit is a punk rock anthem. It is the fucking coolest song ever. I used to do a radio show when I was in high school in the late 80s and into the even when I was in college into the early 90s. And that song Misfit, I played it almost every single week. Misfit and Verbal Abuse, My Kind of Town. Fucking awesome. Yeah, but I always wondered why, like, he's all dressed up all super cool right there, then on the back just all super chill looking.
We'll have to get him. We'll have to ask him about that, man. Yeah. We're about to get into the Undead. So
all right.
That's what's cool. Well,
so this has been a really cool interview. Really enjoying these stories, man. Some really cool stuff.
Well, thank you,
hey, the world's opening up, man. Right?
Hey, and come to New York and see us play.
Yeah, you been to any good shows lately?
I'm going to Madball tonight.
Yeah, there you go.
But I'm in Florida right now. I'm at my dad's in Florida. After the show, I'm gonna have dinner with my dad, and after I clean up, I'm gonna hop in the car and drive like an hour and 45 minutes to see Madball play in Melbourne, Florida.
Oh yeah, there you go. All right.
Hey, listen, bro, an hour and 45 minutes, and I have a flight back home at like 6 o'clock in the morning. But whatever, rock and roll.
Got your Youth of Today water bottle. we've got those in stock.
I hope there's water in there, bro.
Water in crystallized lemon, delicious.
All right, Josh, I love you, and thanks so much for being a sponsor of the show. You're the best.
Yeah, right on, man.
I'll talk to you soon.
You guys be good.
Okay. Well, there you go. Josh from Chain Reaction Records. I want to mention a couple of shows coming up real quick. I want to announce a couple of shows. First off, if you're a patron, let me put up the Patreon page. If you were a patron, you would know about these shows already. But that said, get ready to have your socks knocked off. Hold on, let me line them up. Let me line them up here. Coming up. Get ready for this. This is a good one. You ready? There's the Patreon address, you bum. So support the show. But that said, coming up Wednesday, June 16th, back by popular demand with his new project, Danny Diablo and Spick coming on the show. Danny Diablo, Joe Fatal, and Big Lito. They have a new project, Spick, Spanish People in Control. Anytime we have Danny Diablo on the show, it is a hoot. This is going to be great. These guys are off the hook. Then, you asked for it, you got it. Sunday, June 27th, the day before my birthday, it's going to be killer. Who am I talking about? Max Cavalera from Sepultura, Soulfly, Cavalera Conspiracy, Kill or Be Killed, Go Ahead and Die coming on the show. So there you go. Max is coming on the show and it's going to be killer. Yeah, good stuff coming up. Good stuff. Yep. This one took a little work, but it is happening. Yep. Jump the fuck up. Jump up, and get down. I came to get down. If I was a Jew, then I'd light the menorah. Excuse me, senora. So, Max Cavalera. Yeah, man. Listen. Yeah. Danny Diablo and Spick. Yeah, it's kind of like Tony Orlando and Dawn. Okay, that said, enough. Yes, it is killer. Enough cha-chaing around. Let's bring our guest back on, Mr. Bobby Steele of the Undead, formerly of the Misfits. Hey, man.
Still here.
Yeah. Well, now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about, let's jump right into it. Whatever, a lot of this stuff is we've heard it all before. We don't need to get into any of the drama. We don't do that on the show. But you move on to the Undead. In 1980, you leave the Misfits. You start the Undead. Was the Undead formerly the Scabs?
Yes, it was.
Explain that, please.
It was before I joined the Misfits, I had played with, I'd done like 1 or 2 gigs under the name The Scabs. It was me, it was Nats, and it was drummer Richard Metallion. And while I was in the Misfits, like if we weren't doing anything on the weekend, if we weren't practicing or anything, we would just go, me and Nats would go over to Richie's house and we would just play songs together. And we would do, some Ramones covers. We'd do some original songs. And so what happened was when I got kicked out of the Misfits, and I kind of sat down for a moment, and I was like, what am I going to do now? Then I thought, I'll call Nats and Richie, and I'll just make the Scabs full time. And Nats was into it, but Richie wasn't. So Richie didn't want to be associated with punk rock at that point. So we ran an ad in the Village Voice, and Patrick Blank called us up, and it was funny because like at that point, when we were interviewing people that were calling up on our ad, we weren't talking about music. We were asking them like what movies they liked and trying to feel them out that way. And we really hit it off with Patrick, and he showed up at the to try out for the band, and the first thing out of his mouth was, it became like one of his like regular lines was, I'm sorry I'm late. I just flew in from Chicago. My arms are really tired. But he could deliver that 1,000 times, and every time his delivery was so good, his timing was so perfect on it that you just fell apart.
That's like an old Henny. I think that's an old Henny Youngman line.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. Patrick was, had a great sense of humor, and he had a delivery that was just like so deadpan that it would just like knock you over every time. Yeah.
So the Undead get rolling with Nats and Patrick, and really, let me see if I have another. Well, I like, this one ties in right here. Let's talk about this. This is cool. And really, when I think of the early Undead, of course, I think of A7. And I mean that you guys, it's sort of that span of time there. I mean, you guys were sort of really on top of the heap when you left the Misfits, and the Undead were really you know, the band to see and sort of the most poppin' thing down there. And you were living right around the corner from the A7, right?
Just about, yeah. I was on 4th Street.
Oh God, 4th Street and A
Yeah,
in 1980.
yeah.
Jeez. All right. That must have been fun.
It was. I mean, I had been in bands with, Puerto Ricans before, so I
Right.
had no problem with living in that neighborhood. I was able to, as long as they were able to accept me, I was able to get along with them. And, it was my block, 4th between A and B, had a history, it turned out. Okay. Bob Dylan had lived just 2 doors over from me back in the 60s. There was still some remnants of some early folk artists that still lived on the block. So there was already that element going on there where anything goes. And I kind of fell in with some of the neighbors. They kind of appreciated, that I was different and unique. And
Wasn't 4th Street the Hell's Angel block?
no, that was 2nd.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Or 3rd. No, 3rd Street.
Right.
That was another block over from me.
Got it. That makes sense. So this picture here, you're literally on the stairs of A7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think at this point, I'm a real A7 historian. I've done so much A7 stuff. But I saw another great one. Let me see. Hold on. Undead. Wow, this is a great flyer. Let me put this flyer up. I mean, these are the kind of shows, back then. Get a load of this flyer. It's Bad Brains, Undead, Kraut, High Sheriffs of Blue, Ultraviolence, Heart Attack, which is Jesse Malin back then, and The Misguided. I mean, these are the kind of bills that would be at A7, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was always, great stuff going on there. And we probably played there over 100 times because there were so many times when we would just show up there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the shows would be, the regular show would be over, and we would just grab guitars and just jump on stage and do a set.
Honestly, I could smell it and taste it and feel it sitting here right now. The air was thick in there. It had a certain smell to it. Dave who ran
Gibson,
the place. Yeah, that place was funky, man.
Does anybody know where he is?
No, and I've really tried to track him down and find him.
I heard that he showed up at one of the chillers. I'd taken a break.
Really?
And
Really?
And somebody said that a guy named Dave that said he owned A7 had come in looking for me, and they told me, and they said that I'd be back in about an hour, and I never saw him.
Wow. Here's a really rare photo. You don't see many photos. This is from inside 171A, right?
Actually, that's on the sidewalk.
Oh, okay. Got it. Oh, that couch is from the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, 171A, man, you very rare to see pictures from inside 171A,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys played that place, I assume, right?
Yeah, we did. I think twice. We used to practice there sometimes, also.
Right. That was Jerry Williams' place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me put up another Undead photo. I think this looks like CBGB's.
Yeah, that was CBGB's. That was
yeah,
in the dressing room. Yeah.
So you get rolling with the Undead, and I mean, is it true that Glenn helped finance the first release 9 Toes Later? Were you still on friends with Glenn even though you left the band?
Yeah, it turned out that me and Glenn were still getting along. He was interested in the Undead. He came to one of our A7 shows. We tried to get him to come up and sing Rat Fink, but he wouldn't. I think Glenn could get very bashful at times back in those days. You'd be surprised. And so yeah, he didn't want to come up and sing. But we talked, and at that point he was trying to make Plan 9 into a more legitimate label. Wow, that's an old picture. And
Yeah. You see who's sitting? I don't know if you can make out who's sitting in the front there.
yeah,
Lazar.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what happened was, Glenn he said, that he wanted to expand Plan 9 and he wanted to do something with the Undead, and he would finance us for an 8-track recording. So
Mhm.
I told him, well, I really want 16 tracks. So he said, well, if you want 16, you have to pay the extra. So I said, okay, let's do it that way. And we went into Mixolydian studio, and we laid down those tracks for 9 Toes Later. And it was just shortly after that the shit hit the fan. There was Tim Summers had done an article in Sounds newspaper from England, and he kind of did a comparison to the Undead and the Misfits, and he said that the Misfits are lazy, and that the Undead accomplished more in 3 months than the Misfits had done in 3 years. And I think that was like a real kick in the teeth to Glenn and Jerry's pride. And they just, at that point, just said, look, the record sucks. We're not releasing it. If you want it, you can buy it from us. So I paid them, their share, and left it at that. Then there was that infamous Rich show.
Mhm.
And originally what that was it was going to be the Undead and Heart Attack opening for Ten Pole Tudor. And pretty much at the last minute, Ten Pole Tudor couldn't get visas to come to America. And Michael Lago wanted to keep the Undead and Heart Attack on the bill. So he contacted Tim Summer and said, who could I put on this bill to fill this thing out? And Tim suggested the Misfits. I don't know if they realized that there was,
Right. I always wondered about that. Like, how did you guys, after the drama, end up on the same bill together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and now I know now I know the answer.
Yeah.
Alago.
Alago.
Bane of my existence.
Oh God.
Oh fuck.
So
Yeah.
that's how that whole show came together. And back then punk bands, it was traditional to taunt each other, to fuck with each other a bit, and it was all in good fun, except that with the Misfits it wasn't. And they didn't, we were on stage and they were heckling us and throwing stuff at us, and I was like, oh, this is great, this is fun. So when they got on stage, I started doing the same back to them, and they really weren't like into it. It turned out that they were actually not heckling us as a joke, but like that they really just like hated us. And so I'm not realizing it, and we're kind of doing all this back and forth stuff, from the stage. I mean, I was, every other like line out of me was like some kind of a jab back at them, and then they got on stage and they were like throwing stuff back at me. And at one point I threw like an empty beer can down at the stage, and Doyle threw a full one. And you want to talk about he hit me right here.
Oh.
I mean you could have not gotten better aim, and I was down.
And it was hurled by the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
It was by the Thing, like, oh.
Yeah. And I mean, you talk about aim. It was like, he got me, man. It was really
wow. But I mean, I know, you know what? I'll take this opportunity to put.
We're all friends now. I mean, me and
that's
Doyle.
That's why I'm going to put this photo up, which is when the Misfits box set came out, and this is during the Michael Graves era. You were invited to, and you participated in the signing at Generation. Is that what's his name? Mr. Jim? Who's that at the bottom there?
Let's see. You got with the hat with the blue thing on it. That's Franche Coma, and then to his right is Mr. Jim.
Got it. And then of course the back row is Dr. Chud, you, Doyle, Michael Graves, and Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then and listen, like you said, it was a long time ago. Everybody was really young, so.
Yeah, well, especially me and Doyle, we like we got pretty close, like, over the years. I found out, he had really like stuck up for me a lot of times that I wasn't aware of. I mean, even like, when they first got rid of me from the band, I like learned that Doyle, had pretty much told them that they were out of their minds for kicking me out. That if anything, they should just make it into a 2-guitar band at that point. And there were even times during the reunion where word got back to me that Doyle was like saying, like, just call Bobby, just call Bobby.
Yeah.
So Doyle is the most class act that I've ever met. He really is like, a true guy. If he likes you, he loves you. If he doesn't like you, you know it.
Yeah, I like Doyle. I always have known him a long time.
Yeah.
He's very quiet, but
Yeah.
when he has something to say, it's usually
Yeah.
pretty poignant. Hey, let's talk about this for a second here. In 1980, you made an appearance in the Martin Scorsese film After Hours. This was an interesting film. I meant to tell my dad today, like, I forgot it's a Martin Scorsese film. He directed it in the middle of all the Goodfellas and Casino. He directed this film After Hours, which is a great film. And I think it feels like a little more than a cameo, but you turn up in the film, in that scene. It's pretty cool. You want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, that was actually, I think, like around like 84, 85. And yeah, they were like, they put the word out. They were looking for extras for this one scene in the movie, and I got picked, for it. They were looking for specifically. They wanted people with mohawks. Okay, because the whole theme of this club that the lead character was trying to get into was it was Mohawk night at this club. So that's how I got into that scene, and it was really fun because Martin Scorsese is like a really great guy. He's really nice.
From the neighborhood down there in Little Italy, from Vinny Stigma's neighborhood, and
oh yeah,
he's a very personable guy.
Yeah. What was really great was he liked me so much that he paid me to come back a second night just to hang out.
Aw.
And that's when they shot the scene outside the club when he's trying to get in. And you see that one kid that walks up with a mohawk,
Yeah.
and they let him in.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if they saved the outtakes from this, but this was like one of the craziest moments. A lot of the ADs thought they were going to like lose their job because of this. Some drunk businessman, and I'm talking this guy was blind drunk, stumbled right into the scene as they were shooting it, looked at that kid in the mohawk up and down and said, "You got to be fucking killing me." And all the ADs, I mean, they thought like their job was on the line now because they just like let somebody like walk right into the scene that didn't belong there.
Right.
Martin Scorsese came over to me and he grabbed me and he goes, "Did you see that?" He says, "If I left that in, the studios would say, take that out. Nobody's going to believe anything like that would ever happen." And I mean, I wish, that somewhere they had that outtake because that was unreal.
Yeah, that was a cool little movie, man.
Yeah.
Do you still? I mean, for years you must have heard from people going, "Hey, was that you in that movie?" Right?
No, because actually, my shot is like literally like maybe like 2 seconds.
Gotcha. Let me see what else I got. I guess here's another one that I like. This is one of the great flyers from that era. Undead at A7.
I think that was our last show.
Last show with this lineup, or yeah. Right. And which sort of segues into what we could talk, which is, so those two guys leave the band. They move on. They form Virus with James Contra, and I think and Nats ends up in Cop Shoot Cop. You move on and you record Never Say Die and Act Your Rage with Steve Zing on drums, right?
Yeah. Well, before that, after that lineup split up, I got Bobby Savage and Brian Payne, and that's when we did the Verbal Abuse Misfit 45.
Got it.
And then it was 2 years later that I got together with Steve Zing, and we recorded the Never Say Die, and over like the next couple of years from that, we worked on the Act Your Age album.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but were you working in like a recording studio yourself, and you were learning about recording stuff, and you played bass, guitar, and sang? It was really those two records are really kind of your a lot of studio time, you overdubbing, and then of course you and Steve played drums. Am I right in that memory?
That's pretty much what it was. We had been recording at Real Platinum Studios, like
Real Platinum's a nice fucking studio.
Yeah, and
I remember it.
Back then it was like literally like the laundry room of his mother's house, and like a small section of the basement.
Okay.
But he had like some of the best equipment there, so most of the stuff was done there, and I was having a hard time kind of like expressing like what I was hearing in my head and what I wanted, the stuff to sound like. So I got to go to the Center for Media Arts and learn more about recording, and from there I got more ideas and got more creative with like how to operate equipment and that kind of a thing. And so I was able to apply a lot of that to the mixes on Act Your Age. And I even while I was at the school, I brought Richie Metallion back in to do I think he did Undead and Evening of Desire at the school. And then Hollywood Boulevard was actually recorded with another drummer that was one of the students at the school. His name was Andy Cardenas, and another one of the students, Bruce Miller, did the bass on that. And I don't know where those guys are these days. We kind of like everybody like lost touch with each other. Yeah. But then from going to that school, I got hired to be the receptionist at Media Sound, which was like one of the major studios. It's where you had this production team, Steve Thompson and Mike Barbiero. They primarily were mix producers. They would be sent like the final recordings, and they would sit down and they would do like final mixes, remixes. And so I got to like hang out with them a lot and like pick up like a lot more from like seeing how they would do things, because these guys would literally, this was kind of like when automation was just starting to come around, and Media Sound didn't have automation, and they would mix like 2 seconds of a song, take that piece of tape and hang it up, and then mix the next 2 seconds of the song. Like each piece, like they would like very tedious about everything being perfect. And there would be all these pieces of tape like hanging all over the studio, and then they would splice it all together and get this like perfect mix.
Wow.
And so I got to like really like learn a lot from being in there and like working with like the top of the line of equipment. I was doing the graveyard shift, so a lot of times if there was downtime, I could just go around and just play with the equipment and get the feel for like working with like Neve consoles and
that's cool.
all of that stuff. So they actually at one point I made arrangements with like one of the studio engineers to I just had to give him one of my bass cabinets, and
that's all.
Yeah, and he'd let me spend like 10 hours in the studio where I mixed Evening of Desire and Undead.
Cool.
So I had like a lot of lucky breaks at that point, getting this thing done.
For sure. Let me do my last sponsor shout out, and let's come back and take some questions from around the world.
All right, cool. I got a shout out too, so I'll do that.
For sure. All right. I hope you're enjoying this at least half as much as I am. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, The Texas Silver Rust Chain, Reaction Records and Skateboards, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Chacho's Tacos, and Generation Records. Get your questions ready for Bobby Steele from the Undead and the Misfits. Let's get our questions together. I want to remind everybody on Wednesday, we have Al Barr from the Dropkick Murphys and the Bruisers on the show. A week from today, we got Kate Reddy, Kate 108, Project Kate, Sunday, May 30th, John Sox from the FUs, Tristan DeGraves. After that, John Zazula from Megaforce. Wednesday, June 16th, Danny Diablo, Big Lido, Joe Fatal from SPIC, Spanish People in Control. And Wednesday, oh, you know what? You know what I want to tell you about? Got to mention this guy. This is cool shit. On Wednesday, June 30th, my dad's birthday, we got this guy on the show, Steve Birnbaum. He has a page on Instagram called The Band Was Here. I love this guy's page. He's doing some really cool stuff. Go check it out. He matches up photos with locations. He has a lot of great stuff, a lot of great hardcore and punk stuff. I'm really looking forward to this show. This is going to be neat. We're going to talk about a lot of music history and a lot of these locations, many of which are in New York City and I know very well. So we're going to get into a lot of that. I want to shout out a couple of my new patrons. There's the Patreon address. If you're not a Patreon, if you're not a patron, come join us on Patreon. I post the show every other Wednesday when we don't do it live. Lots of never before seen footage, exclusive photos, all kinds of stuff. It is our community within a community, and you can support this show. This show exists because of you. It's your fault. You are responsible for this atrocity. I want to shout out my new patrons, Mikey X, Sachin Agrawal, Mariom, Billy Graziade from Biohazard, who probably just joined patrons so he could just check up on me and stalk me. Ben Lejeau, Daniel, and Craig Holloway. Also, a couple of PayPal supporters in a big way. Kenneth Dutton, Jim Hogan, Above and Beyond the Call of Duty, Steve Reber, and so all that. Thank you all for your support. I really appreciate it. That said, what else? I think I covered everything. I'm going to see Madball tonight. Set it off. That should be great. I want to shout out the women of the pit, Lori Dawn and everybody. Happy birthday, Daisha. Hope you're having a good one. Want to shout out Upstate Rick. I love you, brother. Who else? It's Shout Out Sunday. Shouting out Zum and Fryette Amplification. Shouting out my dad, Arnie Stone, who's in the other room. Pitchfork. There you go. That said, let's bring our guest back on. I think I covered everything and everybody. I want to get off the show and be like, shit. Anyway, let's bring Bobby back on. What's up, bro?
Hey, I'm here.
Hey.
Yeah, I give a shout out to a few people right now before we get into the questions. Okay, we got Tristan. How you doing, man? Miss you. All right, hope to see you soon. Doyle, of course, I gotta say hi to Doyle, man. Like I said earlier, the guy's a real class act, and he's like really, in my opinion, one of the nicest people like in punk rock, and absolutely the nicest of all the Misfits. My old bass player Nats, I just haven't heard from him in I think about 26 years, and I just recently got a letter in the mail from him. So
a letter in the mail.
A letter in the mail, man. Yep, old school. So just want to give a shout out to him, and I'll be getting in touch with you as soon as I can sit down and write back. And
is your address still the same that he would have your address after all these years? I mean, you've moved, right?
No, I've moved a few times, but he sent it to our PO box. We got post office.
The PO, right? The postmortem PO box.
Yeah, so he sent it there. So and I also want to wish a happy birthday to Mike Denicky. You might know his son Brian Denicky was murdered back in 1997, and we wrote the song "Tears on the Pillow" about him.
Wow.
Hey, Tristan, how you doing, man?
Listen, don't be too nice to Tristan, man. He's coming on the show. You know.
Hey, the guy almost killed my wife, but we still love him.
I'm gonna get you, Tristan. I I got a question from Cheetah Thunders. He popped by early in the show. He said, "I'd rather do my drinking alone." Your song, what inspired that? Any country influences?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. Okay, we got contacted by Walter O'Brien from Concrete Management. Back at the time, he was managing 38 Special, and apparently they had heard Nine Toes Later and liked the songwriting and asked Dave Street if he and I would write a song for them. So being 38 Special was a country band, we figured they wanted us to write a country song. So Dave wrote the lyrics and I wrote the music, and we submitted it to them, and their response was, well, we write country songs, but we wanted you to write a punk rock song for us. so we blew that one. So when I was working on Till Death, I pulled that song out and figured, okay, I'll just do it myself and get it out there. And yeah, there was that whole country, influence on that one.
That's cool, man. Paul Stone, no relation, asks, Bobby played a really sweet Gibson Explorer and a Les Paul Custom. Does he still have those old Gibsons, and what were the years on them? What's his favorite guitar and setup?
Okay, no, I don't have any of those guitars anymore. The Les Paul Custom was actually my first real good guitar. Okay, before that I had some cheapo, $20 electric, and I saved up my money and I was starting to do pretty well on the guitar. So my parents allowed me to take out it cost me $305 in 1972, and it was I think a 1971-72 model, and so yeah, that was my first real guitar. The Gibson Explorer was a 76. I picked that up at a used instrument store. Back then there weren't a lot of stores that specialized in used instruments, but there was a place out by us called Play It Again Music, and I went in and they had that, and I think it was about $250 for that guitar.
Wow.
Back then. And
that was a lot back then.
Yeah.
It was
a decent guitar, but I didn't like it because of the shape of the headstock. The high E string would always pop off because I would play really hard. So I would be downstroking, and all of a sudden the high E string would be out of the nut, hanging an inch off of the neck. So I didn't really care too much for using that guitar too often.
Got it. I want to shout out Ray Hogan. There's a Jim Hogan also. Ray Hogan, I'm shouting you out. Thank you for your support, dude. I really appreciate it. Above and beyond the Call of Duty. I want to. Well, here's a quick question. Was the natural Gibson Explorer the same one Franche Coma played?
No, it wasn't. It was mine. I bought that. In fact, the joke was that the reason.
Well, here it is, right? Wait, here it is, right here. This is the guitar in question, right? You're playing it here, on this picture.
Yeah.
That's the Explorer, right?
That's the Explorer. Yeah. The joke about it was that one of the reasons the Misfits said that they took me into the band was because they had just printed up those bullet posters. And there was a picture of Franche playing the Gibson Explorer. And so I had the same guitar. So it legitimized the poster.
That's funny, man. Hey, I want to bring on a couple of friends of yours. Let me clear the deck a second. I think, let's see. Hopefully they're not going to be too disruptive. Let's bring on Joe Stoker, who plays drums in the Undead, and your wife, Diana. What's up?
Hey!
What
are you guys doing?
Don't be disruptive.
I love you, babe.
We missed you all the way from the downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. Where's Callie?
I was just told her I brought her upstairs. We have a 4-month-old granddaughter, so we're grandparents.
Yeah, she's a doll.
I like
man.
your hair,
Yeah.
Diana.
Thanks. COVID hair.
Yeah, pretty cool. What's up, Joe?
What's happening?
So, Joe, you're you're sort of like the Undead. You are really, truly the historian of this band. I mean, you and I spoke before. I do a lot of homework on these shows, and I was like, all I needed to do was talk to you, and I got straight.
Yeah, I'm a fan of not just the Undead, but like at hardcore and punk. I'm just like, unfortunately, I'm old enough to be around back then, so I could do the most, I can to read and listen to the records, and yeah, man. And I got a shout out Sunday. I have a few shout outs too.
Go ahead. Have at it.
Yeah. So the first shout out I want to give to is Vinny Stigma, because I was watching the episode the second time he was on. And out of nowhere, he just like shouts me out. He goes, "So shout out to Joe Stoker of the Undead." And that meant so much to me. That just blew me away. I'm like, wow, I was not expecting that at all. So
Hey, Vinny.
thank you for and there's actually an ongoing joke with us back when Bobby told me a story, of course, but back when Bobby was in the hospital for his toe, Vinny came and saw Bobby was in the hospital and promised him to make him ziti when he got out. So every time we're like, still waiting for Vinny Stigma to make the ziti for Bobby.
Yeah, Vinny, come on.
We're ready. We're hungry.
Here's a shot of you guys playing at our beloved A7.
Yeah,
right,
man.
you guys are right, of course, in front of the plaque, which you guys are on. And this was at one of the first A7 shows that we did.
Yeah, man. I remember. I actually remember the day that we got in contact with you. I remember you post. This is before that there's so many of these great shows, and I gotta shout you out. You're gonna shout out because you provided so many great shows for younger people, and you brought all these great bands to play the A7 again. And even during COVID, you've been providing such great content for us fans and stuff like that. And this show is so great. I watch every episode live, so I want to thank you, Drew. And I cannot wait for that Antidote, NYHC, Urban Wave, Crazy Eddie, Car Bomb Parade, and reaching out at my favorite venue in Brooklyn, the Kingsland. I haven't played there yet, but I love that place.
Well, thanks for the kind words, Joe. I appreciate it, and I do it because I love it. That's the truth about it. I do it because I do it because I love it, man.
But yeah, back to that story. So I remember the day you actually posted. I saw you like, oh, we're gonna, it was pretty much saying that we're gonna, try to do some A7 shows again. And I'm like,
as you talk, I'm gonna look for that flyer.
I texted the group because we have a group chat of all of us in it. I'm just like, Tristan, ask Drew if he can play. I want to play the A7. I haven't played the A7 yet. So
yeah, and of course Tristan gets it. Joe Stoker's bothering me about playing the A7.
I'm like, I want to play that place, man. Because unfortunately, I was in the band when you guys did the show. I think it was 2015 or 16. It was Undead, Antidote, Urban Waste, Ultraviolence, Killer Instinct, and I think someone else, but I may be wrong.
That was the first time we did it.
Yeah, that was 2016. Unfortunately, I was in the band for that.
That was the day I met Tristan, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here is the flyer for that show. The show that we did together. I believe this was the first A7 Back to the New York Hardcore Roots show. It was. This was it. The Undead, Razorblade Hand Grenade, Drunken Rampage, Rapid Deployment Reunion, Enzugoria, No Compromise. Yeah. This is what really got things rolling again. And it was so awesome to have, the Undead play, who really, like you said, listen, it's great having the young bands play, and it's great having the older bands play, but I love when I can tie it all together and have that balance between the young kids who would never really get a chance to see the Undead play, and a band like the Undead who would never really get a chance to, to be able to see some of these young kids play. So, that's what it's kind of.
And surprisingly, it wasn't mentioned that Bobby never mentioned. The Undead's very, very first show in January of 1981 was at A7.
Right. No, he said that.
My bad then. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
And it's fun fact. Did you know Roger Moret was at that show?
Yes, of course. Roger Moret is a big.
We're throwing this out there. An Undead Agnostic Front show would be great. It happened at A7 a million years ago, but doing it again will be awesome.
Well, we'll see when things going. Hey, Chris Corkum says, Diana, we miss you up here in Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh man, shout out to everybody. I was always the one they kind of made fun of that. I was, we were the first to get there and the last to leave because I wouldn't shut up at the end of the gigs. But I think I miss the people more than playing. I have so many friends that have now become like Undead family, I guess. And I just miss them so much. And I really can't wait for there to be a a day where we can not only play, but I can just hug all those guys. So I miss you all.
We're getting there. We're getting there, and the world is opening up, and we're heading down the home stretch. Bobby, I got a question for you from our resident historian Chucky Brown. He says, the tracks "Thorn in My Side" and "I'm So Happy," were those tracks recorded in his bedroom using Phil Spector's wall of sound? Phil Spector's The Wall of Sound? What is that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what he's saying. Yeah, they were recorded in my bedroom, and only Thorn in Your Side was actually recorded with the wall of sound effect. The original idea for the song was just going to be me just on my guitar, just kind of like just muting those two like low strings and singing the song. And I did that, and I kind of like played it back, and I was like, oh, I want to just add a little something else to this. And the drums on that, I literally was playing the drum machine manually with my fingers on that recording. And I just I was just messing around with stuff, and I just kind of like turned it. Something just hit me with it to just like make it into that wall of sound, and I just added like maracas and wood blocks and things like that to it, and it just kind of like I was able to get just that right amount of like reverb and delay that Phil Spector got on his recordings. I was like, oh shit, man, I gotta like do something with this, and so it just kind of grew like that. But I'm So Happy was just my standard production techniques.
Cool. Hologram says, Bobby, you are a testament to the never say die mentality. You are a legend. Is there still something you dream of accomplishing?
Wow. I don't know, man. I think becoming a grandfather was something I never imagined would happen with me. And so I think at that point, I've pretty much done it all. I don't know, maybe sail across the Atlantic.
Oh, you guys have a boat these days, right?
We have a boat. We have 34-foot yacht, and they call it a yacht because it's more than 24 feet long. So any boat more than 24 feet long is technically a yacht. So.
And who has the sailing acumen over there? Like, who know you do? You know how to sail and all that?
No.
No.
We both kind of fumble around, and we haven't.
We bought the boat and we're learning.
Yeah.
Wow.
We haven't crashed. We haven't sunk, and we've survived. I mean, we've been out there in some pretty heavy storms, and
Wow.
I actually the stormier it is, the better I sleep.
Wow. Yeah. Is it true Bobby was going to be a part of a supergroup with Lee Ving, Joey Shithead, Earl Hudson, and Glenn Matlock doing 60s covers?
Actually, this was something. Yeah, it was the concept was going to be it was going to be called the Character Assassins, and I wanted to talk to Glenn Matlock, but I never got to. But I did talk with Lee and Joey and Earl, and they were all up to doing it. And the whole thing was, we just need to get a label behind us. And so I spoke to a couple labels, and nobody was really going to jump at the idea. The person that was the most interested was actually Fat Records, and he kind of took the concept and did me first, and they gave me gimmies, and never like followed through with me.
I think he's muted.
That's what happens. That's what happens in this rough and tumble business, you know. Wait, I got a good picture here that I like. I got another question from Chucky Brown, but I want to share this picture, which I like because I know where you guys are standing in front of here.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the scene of the crime.
This is isn't this 710 Hate Ashbury? Isn't this Ashbury? Is this the Grateful Dead house in San Francisco?
Yes.
That story that Bobby mentioned about like 10 minutes ago about how Tristan almost killed Diana. It's from that house.
I wanted a picture of the Undead license plates in front of the Undead, the Grateful Dead.
The Grateful Dead house.
The Grateful Dead
house. So go ahead, tell them what happened.
Oh
Dave?
boy. Okay, yeah. Well, Tristan was a bit under the weather, and so he was
You said?
Right before I
he
almost
was
killed Diana.
he was going to back out. He's got it right there, right before I almost killed Diana. He was going to drive the van up the street a bit and back it down and pull it in front of the Grateful Dead house, and he accidentally put it in reverse. And fortunately,
And God,
there was a car parked right behind us that he hit instead of Diana. But if that car hadn't been there, he would have gone right over Diana. So
I was trying to guide him out of the spot, so I was standing right behind him. So instead of
Fucking do-gooders. You women do-gooders. God damn it. You helpatrons drive me nuts.
it made a good story.
but she survived.
Another one from our resident historian, Chucky Brown. Can you speak on the love ballad Hearse song? Is it a tribute to the Undead's touring vehicle, Hearse?
Partially. I mean, Diana came up with the idea for the title, and it's actually a kind of a play on words, because it's a hearse, but it's also her song.
Oh.
So
got it.
I just kind of like, I had a couple of lines, like, in my head that I kind of like put down on paper like a while earlier, the whole thing about eyes so hot they would melt steel and things like that. And I just saw this as like the opportunity to like take those lines and put it into a song. And it's really like there's a lot of like, a lot of like plays on words and puns in there. And, it was a fun song to write, because I was really trying to like just do it in that whole like vein of like, Frankie, like, on the beach, like kind of reminiscing about the girl that he just met and is in love with, or, even like John Travolta in Grease, when he's like singing about like, meeting Sandy and stuff like that. And,
Sandy.
Yeah, so I just kind of like took that whole idea and just kind of like made it into this whole thing, man. But yeah, there's a lot of like double entendres in the song. And we actually, when we do get around to doing the next like studio album of new material, we got Tim Capello. You might know who he is. He was the sax player at the beginning of Lost Boys.
Yeah.
And he also worked with like Ringo Starr and Tina Turner, among others.
Yeah, our friend. He's our friend from the Chiller conventions.
Yes, exactly.
We always, he's in Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
I think for some reason he might have dated Tina Turner for a minute.
Wow.
But he's always, I'm a big frequenter of the Chiller conventions.
Yeah.
I love them. I know you guys are also.
Yeah.
You guys have done the Chiller Theater Con in Parsippany for years and years. I always see you there. I did it with Alago when the film came out, but I always go. I love it. And Tim is there a lot. I'm assuming that's where you connected with him.
That's where we connected with him. So he came over to our house, and he laid down tracks for a few songs. And we also decided that like we should like also like take out the master tapes for her song, and have him like, instead of like Diana's lead that's on the 45, get Tim in there to just like lay down a sax part instead. He actually
Fired already. See?
Yeah, exactly.
He actually he actually did jump on stage with us at Chiller, and I think that's up online somewhere also, where he just came in on the sax, and he kills it every time, man. He's amazing.
Yeah, Metal Gabe says, Drew, the first time I met you and Alago was one of the times that the Undead played Chiller with Tim Capello. Yeah. So
that was it.
How tall did your mohawk ever get?
Oh boy, man. I don't know. It was I was having neck issues, because when I would get in my van to drive, it would press against the
ceiling,
the top of the van. So I would kind of like do this kind of like while I was driving, and so it was pretty high.
Here's a photo that I really like. This one really speaks to me. This is you and our friend Davey Gunner from Kraut. And of course, Kraut is a band that goes back to the early 80s. And I mean, the Undead and Kraut, are forever linked with the A7 and all that,
Yeah. I always loved those guys. There was a time when like for some reason, a lot of people didn't like them because of their name,
Yeah.
and just automatically assumed Kraut was something to do with Nazi punks, and but I was always supportive of them because I knew they were all like nice guys. They weren't promoting any kind of like Nazi thing. They were just kind of like having a little bit of fun with Cabbage, and I remember like pushing Tim Summer to play to play their music.
Shout out to Des.
Shout out to Des. New Jersey represent, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Newark, New Jersey represent Des. Yeah, he's another guy that I'm sure you've known for a very long time, right?
Actually, we only met maybe 2 years ago. We did a benefit.
Oh, I thought maybe I guess back when he was in Black Flag, you guys didn't cross paths?
No.
Hey, Bobby, I have a question for you. I
Yeah.
remember you mentioned that you saw Black Flag with, I think was it with Chuck Biscuits on drums?
No, it was
Robo?
with Robo, yeah.
So you must have seen Des then.
Yeah.
I don't know if Chuck Biscuits ever made it to the East Coast with Black Flag, to tell you the truth. I don't know if Chuck Biscuits.
The only reason I brought that up was because Bobby lived on the East Coast for a year, and was like a part of that for a little bit. West Coast, sorry.
West Coast, yeah.
Yeah. Well, my apologies, sorry. But yeah, he said he lived on the West Coast. So I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I never met them. I kind of the only band I was really associated with, out there was really the Circle Jerks.
Here you go. Thank you for the intro, because that ties in. I'm just going through the photos that I haven't posted, but that ties in with this, which is City Gardens, where you see the Circle Jerks playing with the Undead.
Yeah.
King Tut's City Gardens in lovely Trenton, New Jersey.
Oh yes, yes.
Yep.
That was actually a really good club.
I never went to City Gardens. I never set foot in the place.
Yeah, that was the only time we ever played there.
I just never had a reason to,
Yeah.
Being a city guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Manhattan. I was like, let's get in the car and drive out to Jersey to a show. It's like everything kind of came into Manhattan back then,
Yeah, well, yeah, the City Gardens was more like, a Philadelphia scene club.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And also,
Let's forgot to mention that you did sound for them, Bobby.
Yeah, that was when they came to New York in '83. I did sound for them at Great Gildersleeves, and then they played the Left Bank. I did sound for them there. And when I was in LA, they were playing the Lingerie Club, and they asked me to do sound for them there. And then they wanted me to actually be their sound man on their upcoming tour. But their agent didn't feel like that they needed to have anybody come along. They said it would be an extra expense, so they weren't allowed to have me.
this is a flyer that, as a teenager, was on my wall for many years. I was at this show. This is
you were there?
This is I was a freshman in at Emerson College studying acting. It was Bad Brains, SSD Control, and Undead. Yep.
I remember that somewhat. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those classic bills you look back on and go, wow.
Right. Yeah.
Holy shit. But here's another one. Just this is my last one. But I mean, talk about Bad Brains and the Undead. Here's another flyer, from that same era at CBGB's, and it's the Undead, Reagan Youth, and Bad Brains.
Right. Wow.
Via Joe Stoker.
Yeah, man.
Joe Stoker. Joe.
There was a great photo too that unfortunately couldn't be used, but it was a great photo of Bobby and Ira for all the old schoolers.
Wait, whoa. You mean this photo?
Oh, it's being shown now?
You mean this photo?
It's a great photo, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's on the same note.
Yeah.
Feeling that, is that the Fender combo, Bobby?
Yes, that's it.
That thing had some punch back then.
It did. I had I actually had swapped the speakers out and put SRO speakers in it, so it weighed like a half a ton, but it sounded great.
Yeah, for sure. And this is the last. I got through all the photos, which is incredible. There were so many, but this is the last photo that I just want to show it. It's an Undead photo from 1982 with that great line of the Undead.
That was taken the same night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool, man. What's the story? Didn't Patrick's hands? So you mentioned the one time Patrick's hands always used to bleed after every set.
Oh my God, yeah, because Patrick was a chef, so he was always like working with like hot water, washing dishes. So the skin on his hands was kind of tender. So he would be playing, and like after the gig, we'd go to pack up his drums, and there would just be blood like all over the drums.
Wow. Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, Diana, I guess you shouted everybody. I want to thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for hosting the show, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
I love
Yeah,
watching.
thanks so much, man. I really
It's what I do.
Yeah.
I must.
Hopefully when things get back to normal, we can come back and play the A7 again, because that
You
place
will.
again. I love that, man. Thank you so much for putting those shows on, because those bills.
Stop it. Enough already. Stop.
Man, so good.
Stop. I got to go sit in the car for 2 hours. I got to go sit in the car for 2 hours by myself and drive up to Melbourne, Florida to see Madball play.
I almost went to that show, but I had to do this, which is no problem at all, but no problem.
Joe, Diana, I'll see you guys in a bit.
Hey,
thank you.
One last thing. Can I plug our website?
You wait. You're not going anywhere. They're going. You stay. They're going.
I'll be
I'll
back.
see you later.
Bye, babe. I love you.
That was cool, right?
I love those two, man.
Yeah, man. Those are your people. All right. So feel free. Shout the website. And let me just say to anybody out there, if anybody wants to reach out to Bobby and connect with him, the Instagram page is @UndeadOfficial. So you want to shout out a website? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Our website is theundead.com. And we've got merchandise and stuff up there for sale also. We've got, I don't know if people are keeping up with us, but our most recent release was Having an Undead Summer. The 7-inch, it comes on orange vinyl and blue vinyl. And the artwork was actually, if you're a fan of the Goosebumps books, it was done by Tim Jacobus, the artist who did all the Goosebumps book covers also. So this was the one we were talking about that was a tribute to surf music and beach movies.
That's good shit, man. I like that.
Thanks.
And I also loved, where I loved seeing you guys play is when you play Tompkins Square Park. Like, to me, I love you guys for some reason. Like, it brings me joy to be standing in the plaza in Tompkins Square Park and watch and seeing the Undead play. It's really one of the joys of my life.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's always kind of a homecoming for us. So
yeah, for sure.
We'll be glad when all this COVID thing dies out and we can get back out there and start playing again. But right now we just have to be extra careful because, as you might know, Diana has been dealing with liver cancer the past couple of years, and she's been under some. Right now she's on immunotherapy, and it looks like so far she's responded really well. The doctors say she's essentially cured. They're going to keep her on the treatments for a few more months, and it's just a shame that they didn't have this treatment a bit earlier, because maybe Joey could still be with us also. But we just really, I'm so grateful that this came along, because when this treatment did come up, it was just when Diana was not qualified for a transplant herself. So we've done a lot of heavy praying, and our prayers got answered, and I'm just so glad that she's doing so well.
And I know you've been keeping a low profile, just because of all the stuff you and your family have to deal with. And I really appreciate you coming on the show, Bobby.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, we appreciate it too.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon, man.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.
Take care. Bye. So there you go. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest was Bobby Steele today, and that was great. Hey, Dad, you want to say hi? Come here. Come on, we're going to get Arnie Stone to pop in and say hi. Let me. Here. It's weird. I don't have anybody. Here you go.
Where am I?
Hey, there you go.
Hello, hello.
All right, everybody. You asked for it, you got it. Yep, down here in Florida, the one, the only Arnie Stone. There you go. Questions for Arnie Stone from around the world? There you go. See, yay. All right, there he is. How could I do a Florida trip and not have my dad say hi to you guys? You guys have always been very supportive. Hey, Pop. Larry Kelly says, hi, Arnie.
Hello. How you doing, Larry?
Who's cooler than Arnie? Nobody. There you go. Favorite Hatebreed song. I told him that you were listening to Hatebreed today. Yeah, he was impressed.
I don't know the favorite, but I like it.
Yeah, I told him. I basically broke it down and explained that like Hatebreed is beyond the Valley of Biohazard, because Dad knows about Biohazard because I did all the videos back in the day. But Hatebreed, the explanation was that they took what Biohazard did and really took it to the next level. Let's see. Mel Brooks story. Is there a Mel Brooks story? Is there a Mel Brooks story?
Mel Brooks story.
Give us a good Mel Brooks story.
Let's see. After we did the film and won Academy Award, a couple of years later, I'm sitting at the Westwood Marquee in Hollywood, in California, and he walks in, and I'm with a client doing a commercial. He sat down at the table. He says, "So, schmuck, what are you doing? You still doing commercials?" And I thought, uh-oh, Jesus. But he sat down and he gave us a half hour, went up in the elevator, and it was great. My client was impressed, and I got more business. So that was cool. That's a Mel Brooks story.
No, okay. No, on to the next one. That's it. That's the Mel Brooks story. Right. Larry Kelly asked Joshua Fury thoughts. Boxing. Joshua Fury thoughts.
Joshua, I think that at this point, if he stays off drugs and alcohol and he stays in shape, he's unbeatable at 6'8", and he's a good boxer. There's no one around, I think, that would beat him.
We saw that interview with
Camelo Alvarez?
No, it was with the Gypsy King, Joshua, right?
Yeah.
Man, no one's beating that guy. No one is beating Joshua. He is impressive, man. How about, okay, Pop, Larry the Hunter, Ali's story. Tell them one about hanging out with him on the side of the hill and all that. How it was just you and him.
Ali, I spent over 3 months with Ali in New York, in Chicago. I had to meet with Elijah Muhammad to get approval of the. That was exciting. I traveled to 4 different places, and then I would take long walks with him in the woods, talking about before the Frazier fight, and I would ride with him in his bus. Very close things. I asked him to do in the film we did. If any of you guys want to see it, it's on YouTube. We Ali, check it out. That he could have come into a room and appear very small. I mean, and then he could come in with its presence that was incredible. It was just an incredible thing he had. And he was impressive, no doubt. I mean, just forget the boxing, but
you also talked about, Dad, how he really connected with kids.
Well, that's what I did in the film. He legitimately had a really great thing with kids. He really had it, and he spent time with kids, which was very real, which I photographed. And it's an amazing guy. But people didn't realize too, he did the commencement speech at Harvard, and I did a lot of commercials with him, and did a record with him. He hardly could read. People didn't ever realize that. He had to always say, "What's he?"
No, you had to do things. He had to do things phonetically, right?
Right. Yeah. So that was why he was even more amazing. Yeah.
Tyson Fury is the Gypsy. I apologize. I'm a little frazzled.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury. I saw the interview with him on the other day. They interviewed him. Whew.
Yeah.
Nobody's beating that guy. I'd read your book, Arnie. Write it. Well, that's good. Here's one, Pop. Hold on. From Astoria Lou. Yogi Berra's story regarding Yoo-Hoo.
Okay. You probably know I did a lot of Yoo-Hoo commercials with Yogi. And Yogi owned a company called Iroquois Brands. So every time we get to the end of the commercial, he had to say Yoo-Hoo by Iroquois. He never could say the name of the company he owned. He kept saying Iroquois, you know.
And this is his company.
This is his company. He couldn't pronounce the name. But what I always remember with him, his greatest one to me is, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. I mean, that's it. That's Yogi.
Now, wait. I got a picture of that, of you, me, and Yogi.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me find it. Hold on. This one is worth finding. Hold on. Here we go. Get ready for this. Here's a picture of me, of Dad, Yogi, and me shooting the Yoo-Hoo commercial in probably 74, 75. I'm probably 15, 16 years old. This is here in Florida at probably spring training. No, it was when it was spring training. But there's Dad directing Yogi Berra. And also, for those that may not know this, the label, the Yoo-Hoo label was designed by Dad. Tell them about the Yoo-Hoo label, Pop.
I went to Taft High School in the Bronx, and the colors of Taft High School were blue and gold. And that's the Yoo-Hoo colors even to this day, blue and gold. So that's my legacy.
Do I have another? Oh, wait, here's another one. Oh, this is a great one.
Yeah.
Oh, come on now. Here we go. You asked for it, you got it. This is for you. This is for you, Larry the Hunter. Arnie Stone and Yogi Berra, what's up? That's a good one. That's great. Yeah, we were in Florida, for that. Yeah, everybody's. Yeah. That was the Yogi's commercial from Iroquois Brands. And then I remember Yoo-Hoo had like coconut flavor, banana, and strawberry. It was disgusting. Yeah, pre-skinhead. Yeah, no, I was 14, 15 years old there, So there you go. You know what, Dad? This is an interesting one.
Oh.
Any moments with Marciano, family members, or other Brockton, Massachusetts wise guys who surrounded them with boxing? Hold on, I have the photo. Hold on. Funny you should ask about Rocky Marciano.
My father.
I got. Don't jump the gun on me, Pop. I'm on it. I'm on it. Hold on, I gotta find it. This is great. Funny you should ask about
your grandfather.
Funny you should ask about Rocky Marciano. Here is a photo of Rocky Marciano with my grandfather, my father's father. Here he is. There is Rocky Marciano on the left and my grandfather on the right. Did you see Rocky Marciano fight?
I saw Rocky Marciano fight one time at Yankee Stadium. I came in, I think it was Harry Matthews, and knocked him out in the first couple of seconds, and that was it. That's the only time I saw him fight that one fight.
Rocky Marciano was an interesting character because in today's sort of climate, at a heavyweight, he was like 190 pounds.
Now, in today's heavyweight, he would have been a
cruiserweight.
A cruiserweight, yeah.
I mean, the Gypsy King, it weighs like 280 pounds. Yeah. I mean, Rocky Marciano was 190 pounds.
Yeah.
So there. Yeah. Oh yeah, strawberry Yoo-Hoo. Oh God, it was disgusting. So there you go. Yeah, in Yankee. But who are we talking about? The fight we watched the other day that reminded you of Rocky Graziano.
Camilo Alvarez.
That guy's no joke. Yeah, because he's an incredible defensive fighter. He
hits very hard.
So there you go. I would love to have tried the Yoo-Hoo and the coconut. Let's not get carried away. It literally was like mucus. It was disgusting. So that said, thanks everybody. On behalf of Arnie Stone and myself, we'll see you soon. Until then, do good things.
And good things will come to you.